Hello, guys. How are you guys doing? What is up with you guys? And do you want to join me for a Q&A on the female mind? Ask me your questions. I'll tell you no lies. And also, how are you guys doing on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being the best day of your life, 1 being the worst day of your life. I will say maybe a 5. I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a straight up 5. Michelle says, I could be better, Non. I'm over at my brother's after my husband and I argued. Oh no, Michelle, that I hate arguing with Beardo. What was the argument about, and how are you feeling? Herman is a 7. Thank you for sharing, Herman. Any reason for that? We are all being watched says, learned that women have 11 types of neurons in the language centers, which are not present in the vanilla male. Very interesting. Where'd you learn that? We are all being watched. GE says 7-2 for me. Thanks for sharing. And why is that, GE? Hello, Greg. And we are all being watched as recent discovery by Frontier Science. Very interesting. Can you link me to that? So, Michelle says her husband got drunk again on, oh no. And so were you trying to say, like, don't drink so much, or is he kind of like have a drinking problem, or tell me more, Michelle? So Paul says, hi, hello, Paul L. Where did you, like, come from, Paul L? And tell me one fact about yourself, if you don't mind. Ignis says, question. All right, we got our first question. Thank you, Ignis. Question, if women decide to dance next to me on a large dance floor, but then move away only to come back later, do they expect me to go after them? Well, Ignis, okay, so they're dancing next to you, and they move away, and they come back later. Okay, well, it's safe that on a dance floor, you are allowed to go after them. In other words, talk to them, try to dance with them. I mean, if not the dance floor, then where? Do you know what I'm saying? So if you want to go after her, please feel free to do so. However, could it just be coincidence that she's, dancing next to you, then she moves away, and then she comes back? Of course. Could it also be that she's trying to, like, flirt with you, catch your eye? Of course. So the deciding factor is, do you want to go after her? Because the way you're thinking right now, it's so not to be. I don't hate you. Okay. I'm not going to be so rude starting off, but it's a very beta mindset. Okay. It's just so typical for many, many guys. So no offense to you, Ignis, but it's not you, it's the mindset. The mindset of, I don't want to get rejected. I have to protect myself against rejected. Therefore, I can only ask out a girl if I'm 100% sure that she wants me to ask her out. That doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Whether she 25% wants you to ask her out, 50% wants you to ask her out, 75% wants you to ask her out, just ask her out. If you 100% want to ask her out, you do that. Do you get what I'm saying, Ignis? Because to a girl, your question seems like ridiculous. Michelle, back me up here. Does it seem a bit ridiculous? Like, do they expect me to go after? Yes, in many cases, they expect you. But to try to understand with 100% certainty whether or not you're not going to get rejected, it's just so. What do you think, Ignis? So he also says, I asked for their name to express some interest. Well, that's good. That's definitely a good start, Ignis. Oh, and then he says, yet they never talked back, just gave me their name. I don't like to chase. Okay, well, if you don't like to chase, you better be looks maxing to the extreme because you're never going to get any girls unless you suddenly start looking like a model and girls are just throwing themselves at you. But if all you're going to do is ask for their name and say nothing because you don't like to chase, good luck to you. You're doomed. I'm sorry, like you're doomed. Yes, you have to keep the conversation going and express some interest. Just asking their name, that's good. That's a very good start, especially on a dance floor, but you cannot stop there. That's like, it's countdown to liftoff, and all you got to is number 10, and then you just stopped. That's a horrible analogy, but you get what I'm saying. You took one tiny toe into the water, and you just stopped when you need to be swimming a lap. So, do you get it, Ignis? Lol, okay. Yeah, and Ignis, this whole mentality, I don't like to chase, haha, very bad. Hold on one second, guys. Somebody's calling me, but I'll just let him text me. So, all right. Ignis says, general rule at the dances I go to is not to talk while the music plays. Okay, what kind of dances is this? I'm thinking like of a club or a bar. What are you referring to? So, great question, Ignis. But just be very, very wary of this whole mentality. I don't like to chase, which the red pill people tell you, because unless you're really focusing on looking superior, you're not going to have much success. So Michelle says, yes, it's just that I don't want that in the house because of our kids. I feel like sometimes I'm taking care of our 1-year-old daughter and 4-month-old son by myself. I have my kids with me here at my brother's house so my husband can understand I'm upset at him. Oh, wow, Michelle. Yes, it does seem ridiculous, Non. I don't think it seems ridiculous at all, Michelle. I mean, I think it makes perfect sense. You said he gets drunk, he doesn't help you with the children. That's serious. And you feel like you're taking care of your 1-year-old son by yourself. Again, very serious. Have you read the book Fair Play, Michelle? It's a really fantastic book that really illuminated some of this and helped me in my relationship. It's a very fantastic book. And I'm sorry you're going through that. That sounds very rough. So, and then she asked, Non, was I wrong to take myself and the kids to my brother's house so that my husband understands why I'm upset with his drinking? I don't know who's wrong and who's right. I mean, I can understand why you're upset. I don't know the full situation, Michelle, but let's just say it definitely makes sense why you're upset. Quite upset. I'll say that. Oh, thank you so much, Nani, too. Thank you for the super chat. And he says, if you don't chase, then you're not in the race, lol. Well, Nani, too, I'm not even going to give that a lol because it's so important and so true. So, thank you so much for the super chat. And I really agree with you 100%. So, thank you again. And Michelle, maybe some other people can give you their opinions as well. Hold on one second while I see what that was about. Okay. Oh, wow. I got another super chat. Thank you so much, Thomas Berendt. Let Ignis know that proximity often signals interest. Indeed. I put that in one of my videos. So, but what I was referring to as proximity behaviors, yeah, I guess that could be one of them. And Thomas, that's a great point, and I do agree with you, but the only thing is, like I said at the beginning of that video, it really doesn't matter whether, because the worst mistake that you guys can be making is just trying to like CIA the woman's interest. Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter just how interested she is. Because you guys need to be practicing. You guys need to have this dominant mentality. Otherwise, you're just going to come off as beta as fucking like a million other ways. So I don't like this whole mentality of like guessing and gauging how interested she is or not before she's even talked to you. How interested can she really be when she doesn't even know if you're man enough to like talk to her? This is how like women think. So anyway, okay. All right, let's see where I should start in the chat. All right, I'll just read some much. Hello, Jogger Jeff. All right, very, very good. Um, Brad says, I once talked with a woman who seemed to be interested in female psychology, like you were. She said, women run on emotions, and if you can boost and positively influence a woman's emotions, you are good. What are your thoughts on this? Curious to know. I think it's stupid as fuck. I really do. Women like this image of themselves. They like this image of themselves as kind of like an emotional, primal woman, goddess healer who's like in touch with like emotions from the divine. And guess what? It also gives them a perfect excuse when they get in a fight with somebody or they feel like changing their mind or doing something that a guy doesn't understand. They can just say, "Oh, it's because like I'm so deeply in touch with my emotions, that's why you can't understand." No. It's a perfect excuse, but you guys have deep emotions, we have deep emotions, and we're not just somehow all that different. That's a myth, that's a front, that's a mask. Don't fall for it. So, yeah, a lot of women are going to identify with this whole like goddess healer, like sacred witch archetype who's like just, I'm like such a deeply emotional being. We're all emotional beings, and women are not somehow just like 1,000 times more emotional and in touch with like this deep, mystic emotion that you can't understand. No, do not fall for it. But it is very popular. And, in a way, we're brainwashed a little too, because, I mean, basically every single female dating coach, every single male dating coach is just saying, oh, women are emotional and men are rational. I mean, I never fell for it, but it's being constantly like forced down our throats. So somebody who's not really like thinking too critically about it might just be like, yeah, we're emotional. It's a perfect excuse, right? So, yeah. John Piero says, women don't like being chased. They are attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. I'm sorry, Victoria, but that's bad advice, I feel. Okay, first let's talk about what chasing is. Because it's a word with multiple definitions, okay? I agree in the sense that women don't like a guy who they don't like, who is just begging them desperately when they're giving off no signals of interest, and the guy just seems like a desperate loser. Yeah, obviously. However, what I'm talking about when I'm talking about chasing is if a guy just sits back, does not ask a woman out, does not try to start a conversation with the woman, does not plan a date, does not try to escalate or move things forward on the date. That date's not going anywhere. Like I said, with one caveat, if you guys want to be like, if you guys want to get results, you can try to looks max. You can try to increase your attractiveness to such an extreme degree that women start noticing you. However, if you're just like a regular looking guy, you're good looking enough, women would like you if they got to know you a little, but you just sit back, do nothing, and try to eye fuck them from the corner. Like so many guys on my channel have told me is like the ultimate thing that women are attracted to. No, I'm sorry. They're not going to notice you. They don't know who you are. And you seem beta as fuck because it seems like you don't even have the courage to ask a woman out. Seems like you're just protecting yourself. It's not an attractive attitude. But I agree with you that women can be attracted to men whose feelings are unclear, and they can be turned off by a guy who is desperately chasing. However, hopefully you understand the distinction. So Talal says, do you recommend wearing shoe lifts for short guys? I never would have recommended that in the past because it seems very insecure. However, my friend recently, he has gone on a looks maxing journey, doing small minor improvements like this, like getting a wig, wearing contacts, making his beard like the perfect style for his face. And he's been getting massive results. So if it were me, Talal, I would try it and then see if your results change at all. It's probably going to be unlikely that it will, but who knows? Try it. Why not? Or you can just go the route of total acceptance and work on your game. JA, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate that. And he says, what's the best vibe to be around women? Is it calm and chill? Well, what do you mean by calm and chill, JA? I mean, it's definitely good to be calm, and chill is always good because you kind of want to give off this calm confidence. However, who are you really, and what do you feel like? Are you feeling like nervous and insecure? Because compared to that, then calm and chill would definitely be good. However, by chill, do you kind of mean like giving her no compliments or, you know, affection? Like, could you just be a little more specific of what are you thinking of when you're saying calm and chill? Let me know, JA. So JA says just being around them in general. Yeah, but I mean, what what are you thinking of when you're talking about calm and chill? Does that mean like smoking weed together? Does it mean like just suppressing your true feelings about them? Or does it just mean trying to seem calm, confident, collected, and not nervous? Any more details you can give me, JA? So, Jogger Jeff says, won't the girls just go higher with their high heels? I don't understand high heels if women prefer taller men. Okay, sure. Well, first of all, flats don't look very sexy. When other girls are wearing high heels and you're wearing flats, you don't feel like you're kind of like competing. Like you feel like you're just so underdressed and all the other girls are just like cranking up their sex appeal. But however, like let's say you're dating a guy who is shorter than you. Do you, or the same height as you, and he will be shorter than you if you have high heels. Do you want to feel sexy or do you want to make him feel good about himself? Sometimes it's a choice, and the girl will just pick, I want to feel sexy for myself. And if he's like a confident man, then he can just be proud to be with a girl who's as sexy as me. However, if you're really considering his feelings and you kind of feel, oh, he's kind of insecure, maybe I'll wear just shorter heels. But heels really make a girl's look. Like a lot of fashionable outfits, they are just like ruined by flats. Like you don't look stylish. So that's one of the reasons. Then McMillan says, when you were a stripper, how did you and the other girls you worked with meet guys they dated casually? So I was on Tinder, and definitely the other strippers were too. And sometimes I met guys like in an Uber on the way to the club. Sometimes I met guys who like came into the club, or one time I met a guy like walking to the club, like just stuff like that. Just kind of like walking around. So Thomas Barron says, Victoria, a woman I dated about 2 years ago recently reached out to me out of the blue. The reason we lost touch is because I was unsure about her interest level and thought she might be wasting my time, so I just stopped contacting her. Okay. Anything more, Thomas? So she reached out to you out of the blue. The reason we lost touch is because I was unsure about her interest level and thought she might be wasting my time. Well, Thomas, I'm just to be very honest with you. I absolutely hate that is the reason you cut it off. Like you seemed, forgive me if I'm being too rude, a bit insecure about her interest level. And so you just preemptively cut it off without even knowing if she lost interest or not. What was up with that, Thomas? A lot of girls are told by female dating coaches, be the one less interested. Kind of like the same thing the red pill guys tell you. Let the man chase. It's even more intense in female dating advice. A lot of time it can backfire if the girl is dating a guy who's not really used to being the pursuer, who's a little less alpha in a sense, and she can turn the guy off because the guy says, oh, she's not expressing interest in me. It's going to backfire, but that's basically the purpose of this female dating advice, is to weed out the guys who are always going to pursue and always going to invest in you and not need your reassurance, and the guys who are kind of more beta in a way, who need that more. That's literally the purpose of this female dating advice. They want these like rich, dominant, aggressive guys, and they kind of want to weed out anybody who isn't that. Hello, Angelo. Paul says, I would prefer a girl that is able to be barefoot as opposed to high heels. I know that's just me. Well, Paul, how is she going to go anywhere in public barefoot? I mean, yeah, if you live in like the jungle or something, but if you're going to some kind of event or party, she's going to have to wear shoes. Unless you like live in Maui and you're joining a drum circle or something like that. So Jay says to not come off as a creep, because a lot of my guy friends can't help but to over pursue. Um, okay. Just being around them in general to not come off as a creep, so just be calm and chill. I wouldn't. I would err on the side of over pursuing rather than under pursuing. Honestly, JA, hopefully you can do that respectfully and consensually, but I don't think it's. I mean, yeah, you have to be calm and chill in a certain sense. It's just hard to know exactly what you're thinking of. So Johan says, yeah, I had a girl just launching this game of not responding, not talking, and I just flushed that relationship, but I knew that she was real down, just didn't have patience to deal with this BS. Okay, I don't really think that's a good attitude because it's like you get so frustrated that you blow like the opportunities you do have rather than just simply calmly like deprioritizing her and dating others and keeping her in the back burner. That's the way girls do it. But I mean, if you want to have sex, it's kind of stupid to just, you know, delete your contact just because you're kind of like reactively responding to the fact that you don't like the way she's responding and not talking. I don't know. That's just very typical girl behavior. So good luck. But so Michelle says, Non, was I wrong to get angry at my husband for not helping me put our kids to bed last night because he had been drinking? No, Michelle, like you are not wrong to get angry. Like, your feelings are valid. And it sounds like a major issue that needs to be discussed. And you know what? You probably needed to express yourself and you probably needed to hear it. Whether it could have been discussed in a more perfect way, I'm sure it could have. However, don't judge yourself. A lot of times when you're angry, that's what I learned on my lives like a couple days ago. I was really angry, right? And when I listened to it back, I was realizing like this is the most truth I've ever said. And I recorded a fight with my boyfriend the other day, and I was really angry. And when I listened to it back, I'm like, I'm making perfect sense, and it's very true. And in the fight, I was kind of gaslighting myself, saying, "Oh, I don't know if this makes sense and stuff." When I listened back, I'm like, "This is very valid." So I'm sure what you're saying, Michelle, to your husband is very valid. But hopefully, you guys can calmly work it out and calmly discuss the issues at a later time. But I'm sure you had very valid reasons to be angry, you know? I mean, even from what you've said, Michelle, I think it sounds highly valid. It is a problem, and it does seem like an unfair distribution of labor. Webb says, why don't drink? Dudes who drink can't see the right and wrong in a situation. That's what I've heard, Webb. Jogger Jeff says, isn't it that when you're angry, you're being your authentic, true self, not playing games? I agree. Like, you are being your authentic, true self, not playing games. Absolutely. Paul says that's a cool idea to record your conversations to objectively analyze the situation. Yeah, it actually was really helpful. Very helpful. Herman says if you have to choose one, tall, skinny guy or short, muscular guy. So when I was dating, I think I probably would have been more attracted to this taller, skinny guy. However, now, honestly, this is not a choice I'd be able to make because I would want to know his personality and his beliefs and our sexual chemistry. Michelle says, I just want my husband to realize I'm not a supermom. I can't do everything for our children alone. Of course not, Michelle. You cannot. And you really got to read this book. Check it out. All right. So Sam L. Williams says, super limiting belief I'm dealing with right now. If there is no sexual tension slash buildup happening between me and a girl over text or social media message, I won't have sex with her. I'm confused, Sam. Um, oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I get what you're saying. You're saying your belief is that unless there's like a lot of flirty banter, basically, and tension, as you said, sexual tension or buildup happening over text, then you're never going to have sex with this person. I mean, that's not true because you guys could go on a date and you could start flirting and things could heat up on the date itself. However, there's probably a tiny grain of truth in it, in that if you don't have the skills to necessarily build up tension over text, perhaps you don't also have them in person either. However, just because somebody's not sexually sexting you over text before you guys like hang out does not mean, you know, oh, she's not a sexual person, she doesn't have a sex drive and she doesn't like to have sex and she wouldn't be open to hooking up. So I agree it's a super limiting belief, but I also agree that perhaps your confidence is low in your ability to flirt in person as well. What do you think, Sam? David Smith says, would you date a guy who believed in UFOs? Probably not, David Smith. I mean, maybe if you had some very enlightening evidence to share, I would be open to it. Uh-oh. Let's see. All right, let's see someone else. So Michelle says, how do I tell my husband that he needs to help more with our kids, especially our son who wakes up every few hours for a bottle? Well, Michelle, that's what that book, Fair Play, is about. It's a way that benefits both partners to have more free time and more of their brains freed up. And you sit down and talk about it in this very, very good way. I actually did it with my boyfriend, and he really liked it as well. And it gave us both more free time. So it's good for both. It's a win-win. So definitely check that out. And there's like a card game that goes along with it where you kind of deal out all the chores you're doing. And sometimes when the guy sees that the woman is holding like 90% of the chores, he's more open to realizing, yeah, I can take some of that on. So just check that out. It's really good. So, Cake is Spy says, when I was walking with a puppy, I had women looking at me. It was very noticeable because it never happens to me. What is the appeal of a guy with a puppy for women? That's a cool question, Cake is Spy. Well, a puppy is kind of like irresistible for women. Everybody loves a puppy. And, you know, maybe you seem more approachable because, like, you can go over, you can pet the puppy and say hi. And maybe they're also kind of like interested in a guy who get a puppy, possibly, because, yeah, maybe it does give off kind of like rom com vibes of kind of like a daddy vibes, if you will, plant daddy vibes. I noticed something that's picking up a lot on like Tinder. All guys are saying they're plant daddies. But it's kind of like you're a puppy daddy. It's kind of like you're approachable and kind of like caring, nurturing. So perhaps that does something to add or enhance your look. I'm wondering, Cake is Spy, like, do you normally give off a more intimidating vibe, perhaps, and like a puppy could kind of like soften you? Or what's your like normal look? I'm just curious. Sam L. Williams says, I agree, I'm just direct in a non-sexual way most of the time, and I get friend zoned. When they are single, they say they don't want to date, and that's what happens. Yeah, well, being direct can backfire very hard, especially when it comes to sex. Like, if you just basically ask a girl, do you want to have sex? Do you want to go on a date? It can just read as if almost like impolite, incourteous, you know? The girl wants to feel like you're kind of investing in her and investing and planning something semi romantic, not just, hey, do you want to like go to McDonald's? I mean, that's not romantic. It makes the girl feel bad, like, I'm not worth a date. I could do so much better. Like, that's kind of from the girl's perspective. Benter ABC says, hey, Victoria, I want to write back. I got currently quite a lot going. I'm supposed to be at a real social dynamics seminar in Miami, but I'm not allowed to travel to the US because I'm not vaccinated. Oh my God. So, like, were you stopped at the airport or what happened? Paul says, no one can just smile all the time. We have to vent too sometimes. When you shut down last time after getting angry, I thought it just made you that much more real as a person. Oh, wow. Thanks, Paul. Thank you. So, Angelo says, may I ask, Victoria, you mentioned earlier about the female gaze. Did you touch on that in an earlier video of yours? So, I often talk about that on the lives, Angelo, but I haven't made like one of the short videos on my channel about that. But is there anything specific you want to know about it, Angelo? Because I don't want to repeat myself because I do talk about that like quite a lot on the lives. Paul says, do you still go to Vegas? I might take a shot there as a drummer or possibly lead vocalist frontman. Ha, the shoe thing is just like for high heels. Of course, if going out, yeah, shoes, lol. I did go to Vegas for a week last summer, and it was a lot of fun. I had an amazing time, and I want to go back this summer as well, and maybe I will. That's pretty cool that you could work in Vegas as a drummer or possibly lead vocalist. Very cool. So Sam L. Williams says, what's a better alternative than being direct? So instead of saying, let's go on a date soon, or would love to go on a date with you soon, what else should I say? Okay, so you should say something like, I know, like, let's say she's mentioned that she likes something, right? Let's say she mentioned that she likes wine. Okay. You could just say something like, I know this really amazing wine bar. I'd love to take you there sometime. I think you'll really like it. Um, what are you doing Friday night at like 7 p.m.? It's a better thing. It's better to phrase it that way because it's kind of more like dominant. It's kind of like, I'm the man. I want to take you on an amazing date. I found a place on my own. It's a great vibe. I listened to what you said you liked, and I found something that I think you'll like. And then you don't just, you kind of more like suggest it. Like you got the time, you got the place, you got the time, the place, the day. So it's a very like dominant thing. It's like, I'm going to take you. I'm the provider. I'm the protector. Just come with me. I want to make you have a great time. So that's kind of the setup. Jogger just says, Victoria, do you have or have you ever had game? Yeah, I would say I have. But game for guys is really not hard. It involves breasts, it involves smiling, it involves compliments, and boom, you got any guy you want. So let's see. Web. I only turned 20. Oh, so Tinder, Hinge, etc. is popular amongst my age group, but I have no interest in using that as I prefer the real life approaching. But do women now find guys walking up to them creepy? Some women will, some women won't. So you have to be okay with that risk. And you have to try to do it in a non creepy way. You have to try to do it in a way where it's not so sexual right from the start that women are creeped out because it's like you're seeing them as a masturbatory device. So that's one way to not come off as creepy. You also have to back off if they're not interested. But yeah, go for it. I think that's great that you prefer real life. So I support it. But you have to be open to a lot of women not being interested, but you should be open to that. So that's fantastic. Um, so Jared says, any ideas on where to meet women? I'm out of college, so can't join any clubs. And I'm not sure about asking women out at the gym. I've done it before, but very little success. Okay, Jared. Well, in my opinion, you have to change your attitude. Like, you have to just, in my opinion, make a pact with yourself that whenever you find a woman interesting, you will just, whenever you find a woman attractive or interesting, you will just ask them out wherever you are. Grocery store, that's a good place. Gym, that's a good place. Just because you've had little success in the past doesn't matter. Gas station, that's a good place. Coffee shop, that's a good place. Bookstore, that's a good place. You can start going to classes in places that women frequent, for example, yoga class or paint your own pottery class or, wine and paint class or Pilates class or hip hop class or salsa class or ballroom dancing class or what else do women do? Um, yeah, basically any place that or activity that women like to do, that's a good place to ask out women. I mean, they're gonna say, "Oh, that's creepy." Just okay, just forget that. So those are good places. Whoop says, have you ever heard of Hamza? Just wondering. For some reason that symbol like this is coming up. I don't know, but I'm not sure what it is exactly. Okay. Banter ABC says, I had to cancel everything. These guys from Real Social Dynamics gifted me access to their online seminar. I can send you the link and you can watch too. Check some game knowledge. Oh wow, Banter ABC. That's very interesting. So is that guy Tyler RSD? Will he be running it? Shema Williams says, the girl says she fresh out of a long relationship after asking her out, she doesn't changes her mind speech. Okay, well, first of all, saying I'm around change your mind. Uh-oh. Guys, I actually have to go. All right, bye guys. Sorry, someone's calling me. It's really important. Bye.